Hello, my Aloha tribe, and welcome to the Aloha Perspective. Happy Thursday! Almost to the weekend! Happy Thursday! It is Things to Think on Thursday, and we are on gratitude number 6. So, before we get to that, and while I wait for people to come on, let's just do some guidance cards to start, and then we'll hop right into gratitude. Okay, get right in there. So we're past the full. Ooh, that one came out pretty fast. We're past the full moon cycle now, so we can just focus on the other messages now. So let's see. Ooh, I got hair everywhere. Oh my goodness, sorry about that. Ooh, this has been one of those weeks. It's like a full moon week, isn't it? So let's see. Tomorrow, I'm pretty sure and certain I'll be doing Oracle Friday tomorrow. So I hope y'all are able to pop on tomorrow or watch it on the replay. But let's see here. All right. Do that. I need space. Self-care is not selfish. It is necessary. Self-care is not selfish. It is necessary. I need space. So, that's pretty self-explanatory, right? Yesterday was Self-Care Wednesday, and we talked a lot about things that we should let go. It was a full moon edition because we are now in the full moon cycle that's waning. And what waning means is it's going down, right? Exactly like it sounds. It's going down into the new moon, which, believe it or not, is actually what some people would call the manifestation moon, where you set your intentions, because when the moon is waxing from new to full, it's filling up, right? It's filling up. Whereas when it's waning, it's letting go, it's releasing, it's getting rid of stuff that you just don't want anymore. And you normally these moon cycles run within about 2 weeks. So if you're doing healing, try to pick one thing per each week. And it might seem like it takes a long time. I know, and of course that would be like once a month, because unless you get a blue moon, but it's worth it to feel it, to heal it, and then let it go. And sometimes healing is like layers. You might come across the same thing over and over and over again, and then one day you don't. And when you don't, that means it is probably at the point where it has healed now, and that you can move forward. So if healing keeps repeating itself, it's just because there's more to be done, and putting it all on you all at once, that could be dangerous. That could really be dangerous. So, number 2, think positive thoughts. Think positive thoughts. Ding! I know I do that every time. But truly, think positive thoughts. If you're constantly in a state of negativity and you're wondering why things never change, there you go. It's because you are not thinking positive thoughts. And I fall victim to that all the time. Yesterday on Self-Care Wednesday, I talked about the hamster wheel, right? The hamster wheel that's just like turning and turning and turning. And, then 1 minute the hamster just stops and says, okay, I'm done. Or it stops and it rolls up and falls down and then is like, okay, I'm done. But kind of doing that whole shaky head thing because it's just hurt itself. So you can pick either or. Sometimes we don't even pick the choice of going up halfway and falling down. But that's part of healing. But when you think positive thoughts, you change the narrative from the negative to the positive. Even in a negative situation, try to put a positive spin on it, because that is how you start aiming towards thinking more positively. I need to work on that. I have been working on it, and I can tell you it's hard, but it works. And it's only hard if you let it be hard. The biggest part of being positive, and the hardest part about being positive and trying to either set intentions, pray, or manifest, is remembering our worthiness. We are worth it. We're all worth it. If you have a higher power, they're omnipresent. Angels are omnipresent, archangels. And that means that they could be with 1 billion people all at once. Don't ask me how that's possible. Some people will say, well, that's why they don't exist. But if that's your thing, don't let other people stop you. Okay? If people of science don't believe, that's okay. That's their choice. If you believe, that's okay. That's your choice. But we should all leave each other with our own opinions and not try to force each other into our own opinions, because your view may change down the road. I mean, I grew up Catholic, but I consider myself what is a polytheist now, which means I have many deities at my spiritual table. and and I've mentioned this before, but for those who've never watched before, it's not a just in case thing. It's because certain things in my life resonate with different beings. However, I have not, I mean, I've, I would call myself a lapsed Catholic. Truly, I would call myself a lapsed Catholic, but I still do believe in God. And that's not everybody's thing, but you know what? That's okay. That's okay. So, embrace your weirdness. Do it every day. I do this every day. I embrace my weirdness. I am just awkward AF, okay? But that's the greatest part is I used to care and I don't anymore. Or I used to care what people think, and I don't anymore. So the question is not what you look at, but what you see. Henry Thoreau. It's not what you look at, but what you see. So two people could be looking at the same picture, and two people could be seeing two different things. Basically, it's an opinion, right? The question is not what you look at, but what you see. And we have a lot of stuff going on right now in the news, even in America, and there's a committee that's happening, and it's funny when I go on Twitter because there's so many different, there's like people that are like, no, it's BS, la la la, and other people saying, see, this is what we've been trying to tell you. Well, again, the question is not what you look at, but what you see. It's what you want to see. No matter how much evidence is out there, no matter how much proof is out there, people are going to see what they want to see, because nobody wants to think badly of, people that they put on pedestals. Nobody does. There's a great quote out there. It says, never meet your heroes. That's not always true. I met my hero. My hero was Tony Gwynn. And besides my dad. I know. But that's been my answer since I was a kid. My parents were my heroes. But Tony Gwynn was my hero. My sporting hero. He's still my sporting hero. And I even got to meet my favorite goalie that used to play for the Anaheim Ducks. And I have to tell you, both experiences, stellar. I was so happy and grateful. Truly happy and grateful. Because I had met some other people that were like, oh my God, they're so cool, la la la. I just love the way they pound people into the glass. And they were not so friendly. But I have to say, for all the goalies I've met, including one of my all-time favorite goalies who did not play for the Ducks, I got to meet them too. So nice. Oh, and he smelled so good. I think I talked about him before. He smelled so good. But, yeah, so I even think I was stupid enough to tell him, I can't help it. If somebody smells good, even, perfume perfume makes me, I'm allergic to perfume, but, certain smells, they still smell great. I'll tell somebody, I don't care who you are. It's just like, wow, you smell amazing. Oh, I don't know what you're wearing, but it smells great. And sometimes, believe it or not, it's just their body wash, which is hilarious. But it's like, oh, okay, someone's noticing. But, yeah, they usually say never meet your heroes, because you're probably going to be disappointed. But, oh my God, I forgot. Thank you, older sibling. I got to meet Buzz Aldrin, second man on the moon. And boy, I tell you, what a guy. Seriously, what a guy. I can't tell you, and I know those, I've only named two people. I did not name my goalies, but they were amazing. They were all so nice. And Buzz Aldrin was really, really cool. We actually met him. He was, the guest of his wife at an SPCA LA, which is cruelty against, prevention of cruelty of animals in LA. And his wife was on the chair, so, or was one of the chairs. So it was really awesome. Thank you, older sibling, for reminding me of that. There's just a lot of people that you meet that just turn out to be so fabulous. And then there's other people that you're just like, I don't get it. But I've been lucky. I've known people who have met people that, that I wouldn't say idolized, but really, really admired, and they were so disappointed. But like I said, I also mentioned two other hockey players that were kind of like, and it's like, okay, sorry, my bad. I was not in a place that it wasn't expected, so I didn't chase them down on a street, okay, to meet them. It was kind of a planned thing and a scheduled thing, so not a big deal. But especially the Tony Gwynn thing. But that one, Buzz Aldrin's a close second to Tony Gwynn. But I have to say, I think it's because, the moon landing for me was an afterthought. I wasn't born yet when, these people walked on the moon and all, and it was televised. older sibling said, well, because she's my soul sister and best friend, not actually a sibling, she said her parents bought a special TV. They bought a color TV just for that. But I mean, obviously to watch after that, but they transitioned into a color TV because of the moon landing. And but for me, it was history books. It was history book stuff. I mean, it was probably like the 80s, the early 80s, late 70s, before I even understood what a moon landing was. I mean, like I said, it happened in the decade before I was born, so barely the decade before I was born. But because I was 69 sibling? 69, I think it was. So anyways, sidetrack. But yeah, so just, the question again is not what you look at, but what you see. So you have to choose that. And if people are stuck in a frame of thought that they want to be in, don't try to force them out of it. Okay? Because eventually people see the truth. And eventually people, and sometimes people don't. Sometimes people just choose to stay in their own truth as opposed to the whole truth. And that's okay too. And you can bicker about it all day long because each side will probably say, well, this is true. No, this is true. And somewhere in the middle is actually the truth, right? Somewhere in the middle between the two of them is the reality of what it all is. So sometimes you just got to walk away. You just got to throw up your arms, walk away and say, you know what? I'm not participating anymore. I'm not going to get into this. So gratitude number 6. We have 28 of these. I have day written next to them, but technically it's not day 6 because, well, I guess it is. But like I said, for anybody that's new, every day has a theme of sorts. But Monday, Tuesday, Thursday are generally just topics. And so Monday, Tuesday, Thursday are the days of gratitude that I'll be doing these. And we started on, day did we start? We started on June 6th. And it'll end on August 8th. But on Wednesdays, it's Self-Care Wednesday. Friday is still Aloha Oracle Friday because everybody loves Aloha Oracle Friday. But today, so I may say day or I may say number. Okay, but number 6 of gratitude. It's so everywhere right now. When you give and carry out acts of kindness, it's as though something inside your body responds and says, yes, this is how I ought to feel. Rabbi Harold Kushner. Again, when you give and carry out acts of kindness, it's as though something inside your body responds and says, yes, this is how I ought to feel. It's true. It's true. Have you ever, I'm on Twitter, but I don't have a lot of followers, and I'm on Instagram and I don't have a lot of followers. And, I'll tell you, when I post something that rings with something that resonates with somebody else and they sit there and they're like, oh my gosh, thank you. I do feel good about that because I'm not just posting that for myself. I'm posting it because I've been there, because I've seen other people posting these things and I know how much it has helped me in the long run. Or sometimes I'll retweet things. I retweet a lot of things, especially things that really kind of resonate with me. Some things I don't understand, so I don't retweet it. It's kind of like, I'm not sure what that's all about, or I'm not informed enough and I don't want to get into it with people, or it just doesn't sit in my life like it does other people's, because sometimes I retweet things from people in other countries. But the things that do, they kind of hit me between the eyes. It's like, ooh, I gotta share that. But lately on my feed, I have 2 actually. I have one for mental health and I have one that's just my goofy awkwardness that was actually my original account. And there, like I said, there's a lot of anger going on right now. And a lot of it's fueled by a committee that we have that's running that's doing their findings on certain things. And I'm not trying to steer clear from it to ignore it, but at the same time I am, because I don't want that to be about that. I don't want this to be about that. But there's so much anger. People that I normally see post funny things and joyful things, they're trying to make their points now. They're trying to make people hear them and say, well, you're wrong and we're right. And it's like, the weird thing is the majority of the people do not feel the same way as these people. And But you can't, like I said, it's what you see. It's what you see. It's what you choose to believe. It's what you choose to see. I mean, the majority of the public understands what's happening. And I'm not going to fault anybody. I'm not saying they're wrong, because in their minds they're not. They're right. And really, are we ever wrong or right? In our heads, we're right all the time, right? Even when we're wrong. But, it's like saying, is the sky really blue? Or is it just the ocean reflecting? Who knows? Everybody's going to give you a different answer. The point is that it's about focusing on our journey. It's about focusing on what we want to put into this world. And a lot of times I'll just kind of steer clear from politics or religious stuff, because I want to put positivity into this world. It doesn't mean I'm not paying attention. Well, I'm paying attention. But it also means that there are times that it's like I have to walk away, because I just literally want to throw my phone across the room. It's to be like, what the fuck are you thinking? Seriously. I mean, excuse me for that, especially during a day of gratitude, right? But I don't, because it's not my place to make other people think the way I think. It's just I might share things, and if somebody says, oh, let me think about that for a second, but I'm actually a centrist. So, because I know there's some people that are going to put the politics together, 2 and 2, but I'm a centrist. I do not have a party. I mean, no preference. I belong to the no preference party. So I either like or hate everybody equally, however you want to say it. But I have a lot of friends in the middle who are on both sides that are either, center left, center right, or right in the center, like literally toeing the line, and, their toes only dipped into their party. But they're so center. They're probably more center than I am. But those are the people that these kind of things are aimed at. Those are the people who are listening, who are paying attention, who are saying, you know what? Let me think about this for a couple of minutes, because that makes a good point. Or maybe I was misinformed, or maybe this, that, or the other. My dad and I had a great talk yesterday about media, right? And how the media is really just like, he was just like, someone could do something in Virginia and you'll find out about it in California like that. Right? And he's not wrong. A lot of times the media plays such a big role in today's society. The news, 24-hour news channels all over the place, on TV and online now. And a lot of times, everybody says we want to be objective. We want to be objective. We want to be objective. And at some point, I will say this, people do lose their objectivity. And that's where I think the anger starts. That's where people start sitting there going, well, no, and people start fighting and people get angry. And I talked about this the other day when it was on Monday, when I was talking about how the more that you are grateful for the things that you've received in your life, the richer your life becomes. And not necessarily in financial figures, but in just life itself. It's an appreciation. You become rich in appreciation, and people might say, well, that's stupid. That doesn't buy anything. No, it doesn't. But when you become more and more appreciative of things, you start to open these opportunities of things coming into you. I've been in a downward spiral for about 2.5 years since I lost my job. I don't have a job. I have no income coming in. It's crazy. It's scary. But somehow I am learning how to appreciate what's around me, to appreciate all the things around me. Even when you're hanging, by a thread with your, holding on with your teeth, there's something that starts to change in you. There's something that starts to make you say, oh, okay. And that's why today, even though I've kind of gone in circles on this, that's why today I love this quote. And I kept reading it yesterday because it resonates with me. When you give and carry out acts of kindness, it's as though something inside your body responds and says, yes, this is how I ought to feel inside. If you were feeling like shit, if you were feeling low AF, if you were feeling like, the whole world is just sitting on top of your shoulders and you can't handle anymore, show an act of kindness to someone. Even yesterday, there was a guy that was asking for a quarter when we stopped at the bank, and I didn't have any change on me, but older sibling was like, I do. And so, she's like, oh yeah, no, wait, I have a quarter. All you needed was a quarter. And so she ran over and called him back and said, hey, here you go. And even she mentioned, she's all, it's like the saying goes, give when it hurts. And what that's meant is that what I've taken the meaning to be is, even when you don't have enough, it's okay to still give. When we hoard things, when we hang on to things so tight, we are literally putting the energy out there of fear. Fear of losing something, fear of not having enough, fear of, just all these bad things, that, oh my God, what happens? I mean, I can't spare a quarter. I literally, God is my witness, I did not have a quarter on me. But she did. Like I said, she did. And I was running in, and she was just sitting in the car. And so she's like, oh, okay. And it's not to toot her own horn, but she is a very good person. I'd like to think that in some ways I emulate her, but she is the kind of person that even if she had only the shirt on her back, she would give it to somebody. Literally, she would. And, my dad is very similar to that as well. And I just use them as examples because I see them. Baby sibling gives of her time. I mean, I could go on and on about all the people, but these are just the people I talked to yesterday. And I was giving them these compliments. And, well, I didn't give older sibling that, but my dad and I were talking, and I said, you're very good to the people around you. Because he's like, well, I don't really know what my purpose is. And I said, well, maybe your purpose is just doing what you're doing. Just these random acts of kindness. Even if it's to the same people. Because, they enjoy his company, he enjoys their company, and he takes care of the stuff for them. Like when they go out, he'll pay the bill. And that's an act of kindness, but I don't know that he sees that. It's one thing less that somebody has to worry about. They can just go out, have a good time, and not worry about it. I mean, like this weekend, I can go out, have a good time, and not worry about it. And it's Father's Day. But I even thanked my dad. I said, thank you for being my dad. And he's like, well, I didn't really have a choice. I'm like, oh, you had plenty of choices. I mean, it takes two people to make a kid. But I think he struggles with compliments because he did not have a good relationship with his parents. He was one of the people I was talking about the other day that, I know people who don't have a good relationship with their parents. And I try to bring that up to him. And for me, that's my way of giving him kindness. But I did tell him that. I said, maybe that's your purpose, is just to be you, to show people that it's okay to live your life. It's okay to just, you don't have to turn a certain age and just wither away. My dad's more active than I am, but it's because for some reason, I just, in this spiral, I stopped living, and I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to keep being afraid of what's not coming in, because that's what's keeping it from coming in, by being afraid. I want to have full faith in knowing that I'm worth it, and that, whatever's meant to happen is going to happen, and it's going to be good. I have to change the narrative. And the way to change the narrative is by this. When you give and carry out acts of kindness, it helps you have that, yes, this is how I ought to feel. This is how I want to feel. Don't just do it for selfish reasons and say, well, I need to feel better about myself and I want to bring all this stuff in, so I'm going to go do something nice. Do it from your heart. Do it from your soul. If somebody's walking and they drop something, you pick it up for them, that's an act of kindness. If you're sitting at a four-way stop and you let the other car go, that's an act of kindness. If you wave at someone or smile at someone or say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, how are you doing? That's an act of kindness. It doesn't always have to be big gestures. It doesn't always have to be that bank-breaking check that you send to some charity. No. Acts of kindness are everything. Holding the door open for somebody. You're walking into a public place and you hold the door open for someone. Or maybe you're a bus driver and you see someone running towards the bus and, you're about to pull away, but you stop and you wait. That's an act of kindness. And, it's just little things. And the little things are the best things. That person who dropped their keys and you picked it up for them, they may have a bad back. They may be hurting. And you just saved them that trouble. And you may never know that. But you never know. You don't know what they're going through. Maybe they feel lost and unseen and like they feel completely invisible. Maybe it's their spirit guide that knocked it out of their hand, knowing that someone would help them pick it up, to show them that they exist, that they're there, that someone does see them. The other day I was praying because I knew I was about to lose my mind. That's when I had that soul cry that very night. But I prayed really hard, and I was just like, I just need some guidance. I just need a sign. Please show me the way. And two mourning doves came in. The mourning like sorrow, okay? But they're also a sign of peace and faith, love, and trust. And there were two of them. I only saw one at first. Then all of a sudden, when I went to see where it flew to, it had a friend. It had a friend. Or a boo. One of the two. You know, it either had a friend or a lover. But either way, there were two of them. But it's those things. You know, random acts of kindness are really what this world needs right now. I cannot tell you how many times I have seen people walking into public places, and this has happened to myself included, where people just, they don't have time for you. They just let the door shut right in your face. I mean, literally right behind you. Don't bother to push it open any farther, nothing. It's just like, whatever. Like they're the only people that exist on the planet. I try not to judge them because I don't know what's going on with them. I don't know. There have been times when I've walked through and then I realized, oh my God. And I've been in my own place, not feeling well, not doing well in my head. And it's clicked with me. And I run back and be like, I'm so sorry. And they're like, oh, and they look shocked. Like, oh, I thought you were just going to let the door go in my face. But it's like, I run back and it's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I wasn't paying attention. And, I think that's just in me because that's how I was raised. Now, that doesn't mean, don't blame the parents. Sometimes parents raise their kids to be polite and respectful and, you know, courteous, and it goes out the window. Not always. Until it happens to them, and then they realize, oh gosh, maybe I should pay more attention. And in the day of electronics, seriously, I was driving down the freeway yesterday. This guy was going 40 miles an hour in the slow lane. 40. Our maximum speed limit is 65. Our minimum speed limit is 55. This guy was going 40. Fortunately, I was getting off the freeway, so I got out from behind him. But that could cause an accident. And when I looked in the window, he's just doing this on his phone. Seriously, like literally looking down. Meanwhile, there's a guy in the passenger seat not doing anything but looking forward. And it's like, why don't you let him drive while you navigate? But it's about courtesy. And people just don't, we have our faces so glued into our electronics nowadays that we forget to see the world around us. And because of that we forget to see the world around us. We forget to have those random acts of kindness. We forget to give and carry out kindness. And we start to lose that, that's how I ought to feeling. We start to lose that. Social media can be the same thing. People looking for validation, people trying to make their point. I personally have been really trying hard to like things, but not retweet things, because at this point, there's enough going around that's angry or in your face, or you should know this, or you should believe this. And for the people posting, I don't care. That's fine. You do you. But for me, I'm just, to keep myself in a good place, I need to put something genuine and better out into this world. Something beautiful, something kind. You know, I mean, I actually made it a point on Twitter to say, I'm not going to have any thoughts of my own, but I will retweet the blue checkmark people, because, you know, they're a lot of them are just articulating so much better what I want to say versus what I should say. I can be very opinionated, but yeah, I've gotten to this point where, and like I said, you know, it's not to bash people who are, you know, people do their own things on their own feed, you know, and I guess the reason I get a little hypersensitive about it is people are like, you know, why are you posting all this stuff? Don't you realize what's happening in the world? Yes, I am very clear on what's happening in this world. And what I'm more clear on is that the more we focus in on this stuff, the more we just, you know, zero in on all the negative stuff, it's making all of us more negative. It's making all of us more angry. You know, I've seen this country pretty pissed off, but I have never seen it this divided. And it's a young country. We have to change. We're going through changes. A lot of older countries that are very well established and very well respected around the world, they've been doing this for hundreds to thousands of years. You know, I mean, China didn't grow up overnight. It's been there for a long time. Japan has been there for a long time. England, Russia, Europe. I mean, there are buildings in each one of these countries. They're older than my country. Okay, buildings. I've been in a building. I mean, I stood on the grounds of Stonehenge, which is older than pretty much all of it, right? But definitely older than my country. You know, and I stood in buildings in nearby Avebury that were built before, you know, I mean, there may have been settlers rowing their boats over here already, but it wasn't officially a country yet. We were still owned by a bazillion other countries overseas fighting over this land. You know, we were like puzzle pieces that belonged to different people. And I think sometimes we here forget that. We see other places and think, well, they're so established. They didn't establish overnight. It took time. It took a lot of time. And the difference is we have media watching every move we make. I mean, we haven't even hit our tricentennial yet. That'll be in what, about 50 something years. Okay, well, no, wait, sorry. Where am I? 2020, yeah, 54 years. Wow. 54 years we'll hit our tricentennial. But I want other people, whether it's here or there, to remember that. We're going through growing pains. And there's some major growing pains. But it's not something you can just give an aspirin to. It's something that needs fixing. And hopefully, however we proceed forward, hopefully we're able to fix that. Hopefully we're able to establish, more equality, more fairness, less people being invasive into, people's choices. More control over certain things. I'm not saying get rid of certain things, but more control over it. All right? So the way I see it is Rabbi Harold Kushner has the best idea. And I'm going to read his quote one last time, and then I'm going to let you go for the day. So, when you give and carry out acts of kindness, it's as though something inside your body responds and says, yes, yes, this is how I ought to feel. And one last time, that's Rabbi Harold Kushner. So remember, don't just do so. If you're doing something because, you want good karma, you're probably not going to get that aha feeling. So, like I said, just be random. Hold a door open for someone. If you have 15 items in your basket and the person behind you is just buying a bouquet of flowers or a can of tuna, let them go ahead of you. What's it gonna cause you? A few more minutes? If you're not in a rush, who cares? I mean, it's going to take you longer to unload your stuff onto the conveyor belt than it is for them to go ahead of you and just pay for their flowers or their can of tuna. If you're at a 4-way stop, let somebody else go. It might throw everybody else off, but I tell you, some people out here in California, that's a whole other thing. But just, nothing always has to be these grand gestures. Okay, grand gestures are fun. Yes, they're amazing. They're super. They're great. But sometimes it's those small things that build and build and build and make you feel really, really good about yourself. Make you feel like, wow, okay, this is how I like to feel. Do things for yourself. Give yourself a random act of kindness. Maybe you're like, oh, I can't have that. It's too much sugar. Well, then have a small one. Okay, one of the things I love about going to the movies is I will have an icy. I know, I will have an icy. How old am I? Who cares? Okay, ices do not have an age. All right? If you love it, you love it. Blue raspberry, nothing like a blue tongue for the rest of the day. But you know what? It brings me joy. And I'm doing something kind for myself. I don't run out and have one every day from the 7-Eleven, but when I go there, that's my treat for me. And maybe a popcorn and a hot dog. Depends on the day. But yeah, that's my new favorite thing. And before it was kind of like, there's a lot of I used to shame myself. There's too much sugar in it. There's this, that, and the other. Do nice things for yourself too. Okay, so I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. Please, please, please take care of yourselves. My challenge for you today is to go out and do one random act of kindness for someone. And like I said, it doesn't have to be a grand gesture. It could just be opening up a door, which to me, I'll be honest with you. Let me be honest with you really quick before I close this out completely. To me, the grandest gestures are the small ones. Small ones. It's somebody taking the time to hold open a door for me. It's, somebody giving me the right of way at a stop sign. It's, someone saying thank you. Oh my God, my biggest pet peeve is when you let people in and they just like, whatever. Every so often someone will say thank you, and it's like, oh my gosh, thank you. And to me, that's an act of kindness. They're being polite, but I'm taking it as an act of kindness because they're being courteous enough to notice that you did something for them and they're saying thank you. And it always catches me by surprise because it's so rare here in Southern California. I thank people all the time. And it just, I know I'm not trying to put myself up there in the clouds. No, I'm not. That's how I was raised. Say thank you. If you're not sure, say thank you anyway. Because, maybe it'll make them think about it later. It's just me. But do that. To me, those are the biggest things. Picking something up that somebody's dropped. Here you go. Just see how it makes you feel. Maybe you're at work and a coworker left their coffee in the kitchen. You know exactly whose it is. I can tell you how many times that's happened where it's like, I'm just like, here's your coffee. It's like, oh my God, I forgot about that. But that's another random act of kindness, or someone getting up and saying, oh, maybe you're heading to the supply room and they're like, oh yeah, I need a highlighter. Offer to get it for them. It's those kind of things, because you don't know what they're doing. You don't know how they're feeling. But, and don't look for someone to reciprocate. You're doing this out of the kindness of your heart. You're not doing it so someone will do it back for you. That's not how kindness works. Because it may come to you in a different form. May not be the same person. But we do it because it gives us that feeling, yes, this is how I ought to feel. Yes, this is how I ought to feel. All right. So again, I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. Please take care of yourselves. I will see everybody back here tomorrow for Oracle Friday. Not back here. I'll be somewhere else tomorrow, but you'll recognize the background. But I'm heading to San Diego. So yeah. So if you have any intentions or things you want answered or whatever, I'm only bringing 3 decks since I am traveling, but 4 decks since I am traveling. But yeah, just put it out there. And you know what? Don't worry where the message is coming from. Focus on the message. I know a lot of people are like, I'm religious, I don't believe that stuff. You know what? Watch anyways, because sometimes your higher power or the angels or whatever, your spirit guide, your guardian angels, that's where they're sending messages. But a lot of people get lost in that because they're worried about what they've seen on TV or in movies. All right, promise you, I am a good person. So back here tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. or wherever I'm at tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, on Facebook Live. It is public. Anybody can watch under Shelly Marie Lucas. Shelly Marie is one word. Get it right. My mother will haunt you. I don't know. I just love saying that part. Or you can watch the replay. And yes, you can watch an oracle on a replay. All right. Most of the things you're going to see on YouTube are not live. When you go in there and say, ooh, somebody's doing something like this, they're not live. All right. So you can go watch the replay on YouTube. Under the Aloha Perspective with Shelly Marie Lucas. I hope everybody has a great day. Thank you so much for watching. And remember, go do your act of kindness today, because that is how you ought to feel that yes feeling inside of you.